The Battlefield comeback nobody expected, and when I say nobody, I mean nobody. For the last few months, I've been playing Battlefield in secret in the hopes that the developers would announce a return to form. For years, Battlefield and numerous game developers were chasing the Fortnite trend. The pandemic ruined a lot of plans, and on the whole, a lot of games launched unfinished. The biggest culprit of all was Battlefield 2042. When the game was announced and there was a Rendezvous in the trailer, that's the iconic clip where they jump out of the jet, RPG the enemy jet, and then get back into their own, people thought Battlefield was back. The trailer was awesome. It looked fun, and then the game came out, and in reality, it was not what people were expecting. The specialists were horrible, the microtransactions sucked, and on the whole, the game disappointed a lot of people. Ironically, just like Halo, the last 2 to 3 years was spent getting Battlefield 2042 up to release quality standards. I cannot state enough the damage that was done to the franchise from the broken promises made with Battlefield 2042. Not only because the game wasn't as advertised, but key features that were staples from previous games were just gone. Physics, gunplay, vehicles, quality of life, everything was at a much lower level than past iterations, and frankly, it shouldn't have launched in the state it did. Today, however, is the first light on the horizon, the first glimmer of a resurgence, and man, am I excited, and we are going to talk about all of it. Now, for anyone who is a Battlefield fan who does discover this video, welcome. I usually talk about what's going on in gaming while putting kick-ass gameplay underneath. Today is no exception. You know how I said I've been playing Battlefield in secret? Well, I didn't want to make this video until I pulled off the legendary Battlefield trailer clip. I spent months practicing, I spent months learning. Ever since Battlefield 3 and 4, I watched a man named Ponyline pull off some of the craziest Battlefield tricks in history. They pulled off millions of views. So to celebrate the occasion and the possible comeback of the franchise, check this out.
Yes! I did it! I did it! I got it! I got it, guys! Oh, I did it! Finally! Finally! Return to team base immediately.
I did it again! I did it again! This brings us to today, the Battlefield comeback nobody expected. Battlefield fans for years have wanted a game that feels similar to Battlefield 3 and 4, a robust class system, battlefield destruction that is actually an evolution of what games had done over a decade ago. I honestly don't think fans expected all that much. They just want a Battlefield game that feels like a Battlefield game. Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, and it's so funny how all game developers seem to do this, stick to what made the franchise great in the first place. Call of Duty, Halo, Battlefield, all of those games in the past 2 to 3 years have had players say this isn't what made the franchise popular in the first place. I mean, Battlefield 2042 literally launched without a scoreboard, enough said. So on to the good news. The brand new Battlefield title is being tested in a closed labs environment, which by the way, you can sign up for access. I'll put the link in the description below if you haven't done it. It is under a non-disclosure agreement, so you can't share any gameplay yet. The thing is, and I expect DICE would have planned this already, when you're doing a test of this size and there's 10,000 people testing out your new game, someone is bound to leak it, and that is exactly what has happened. In my eyes, I think DICE, the developers, are using it as an early way to gauge how players are feeling about the new title they're working on. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through everything. I gotta say though, I'm liking what I'm seeing. So if you were wondering what has leaked, features, quality of life changes, classes, tiny things that the fans have been waiting for years, they're all coming back. Most players, when they first think of Battlefield, they want 4 distinct classes: Assault, Engineer, Recon, and Medic. They are all returning. Next is Destruction, and players immediately took tanks into the private build of the game and tried to drive them into buildings. I'm happy to report this also worked. The most important thing here is physics, how the buildings crumble. What sort of destruction is there? Will certain parts of the wall break only, or will it be dynamic? That means if you destroy a certain part of the wall, will that specific spot get blown up, or does the whole wall just crumble? In this early test, it seems like the latter, which is great. In terms of physics, I also want the vehicles to feel like they did in Battlefield 3 and 4. I want the explosions to actually have weight, and if you do put 100 sticks of C4 underneath a quad bike, it should send it flying across the map. Halo fans will know why I'm mentioning this. Now, one of the biggest quality of life features that really shouldn't have gone away are helmet cams. If you're in the menu and want to respawn on a squad mate, you'll actually get a shoulder cam view of what is happening around them. This gives you more information of what you're respawning into, whether it's a safe place to respawn, and on the whole, in my opinion, it gives the game a lot more soul. To be truthfully honest, it seems like this game is being built exactly like the older games. The user interface, the HUD, the menus, they're all very reminiscent of Battlefield 4. The gunplay, the weapons, the recoil seem like Battlefield 3, but no suppression. Suppression was a mechanic that if you were under fire, your bullets wouldn't go where you aim. Most people hated this, so I don't think it's going to come back. The biggest positive about all of this is it finally seems like game developers and video game executives are like, oh, us trying to force change that gamers don't want down their throats isn't working. Who could have seen that coming? More than that, it also seems like they're moving away from releasing half-baked games and have seen that transparency, communication, and showing the current state of development actually takes the pressure off the companies, as the public can clearly see when a game is or isn't ready for release. There's nothing worse than when a game launches unfinished and then shortcuts were taken to actually get said unfinished game out the door early, that it takes even longer now to go peel back the layers of the game, fix what should have been done properly to begin with, and then release a patch. The Battlefield developers went on to say, we've continually evolved our gunplay and movement mechanics throughout the Battlefield series. Now, within Battlefield Labs, we're focused on refining the best elements from past titles, modernizing them, and validating if they would feel fun and rewarding. That's a lot of wordy words and very PR. What I'm hoping they do is they take everything popular from those past titles, listen to feedback from the fans, and then take the time to work on a game that is completely finished at launch. I shouldn't even have to say that, but with how many games launch unfinished nowadays, most gamers don't have trust that this will happen. The current build that has gameplay leaking and is available for closed testing is pre-alpha. I gotta say, for a pre-alpha game, it looks surprisingly polished. Although, with DICE full knowing this was going to leak, I'd imagine the devs polished some of the rougher edges so people are more optimistic for the game's future. The developers went on to say Battlefield Labs content will be tested at a time in our development when it is critical for us to cross-collaborate with our community, with their feedback being crucial in helping us to know what to prioritize, what to improve, and what feels like an authentic Battlefield experience. If you are a Battlefield fan who's wanted a return to form, a return to when the franchise was at its most popular, then this game will hopefully be the game we were waiting for. It already looks better than Battlefield 2042, at least in terms of what you'd imagine a Battlefield game to be, so that's a positive. I did get a laugh, however, as Jack Frags uploaded a Battlefield video and he spoke about the leaks acting all surprised, and every single comment in that comment section said, come on man, we know you've been playing the game for a while, you don't need to pretend. The only other thing, and I feel like this is really important to mention, is that the developers really listen to the fans of the franchise. So many times we've seen the same story, they ask for feedback, players give said feedback, developers implement the exact opposite of what fans asked for. Nobody has really spoken about it, but apparently Battlefield is working on a new battle royale. Firestorm, their first attempt at a battle royale, failed spectacularly. It was horribly received and by all parties was considered a colossal failure. Even Battlefield 2042's Portal mode, it had so much potential and yet it had so many drawbacks. What should have been the definitive Battlefield experience, celebrating every game that came before, as well as celebrating the future, it turned into a nightmare. Obviously, we all know the higher-ups in charge want a battle royale, they want that Fortnite money, so I am being very cautious. Yes, it's all good they're doing this partnering thing with the community-style development, but I do not want the core experience to suffer if prioritization is put into the battle royale. Just food for thought. On the flip side of that, the Battlefield developers have said the main core focus of the testing is going to be on the feel of the different weapon archetypes, improvement to aim and control, weapon balance, the fun factor, look and feel of movement, moving and interacting within the map, and combat pacing. They also stated they wanted to evolve the movement system, and they have revamped animations and reintroduced movement features such as crouch sprint, combat dive, and landing roll. They also added visual indicators to make it easier to understand when movements such as vaulting or leaning are possible. And that's it. That's everything you need to know about the new Battlefield game. We are all hoping the developers have learned their lesson. It does seem like they're listening to players, so we will see. In saying that, from what we have seen via leaks, the class system, the gunplay, the destruction, all of that is very promising. Which leads me to ask you guys, if you have seen the leaks of the new Battlefield, what did you think? I'm also going to ask, if you were a developer and you were working on Battlefield, what is one thing you would do to make the franchise better. In any case, I hope Battlefield returns to the great franchise it was. If they listen to the players and actually implement the feedback we give them, we might get one of the best Battlefield games ever. With that said, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.
Every sector is ours. Direct engagement.